5 watches, all automatic, all available right now on Amazon. None of them cost more than 500 euros. And every single one, I repeat, every single one offers specifications that luxury Swiss brands charge you 5, 10, or 20 times more for. Today I'm going to explain why the price of a luxury watch is, to a large extent, a marketing construction, and why these 5 watches will put more watch on your wrist than most boutiques in your city center. The myth we're destroying today is the most widespread in consumer watchmaking, that below a certain price point there is no real quality. Wrong, and the data proves it. Over the last 15 years, Japanese, German, and independent micro-brand manufacturers have democratized watchmaking engineering in a way the big Swiss houses don't want you to know about. Sapphire crystal for under 200 euros. In-house movements for under 300 euros. ISO dive certifications for under 400 euros. It all exists. It's all on Amazon. And today, we're looking at it together. Position 5. Citizen ProMaster Marine Fugu. We start with the most technically specific watch on the list. The Citizen ProMaster Marine Fugu. Price on Amazon, around 350 euros. A dive watch. And when I say dive, I'm not talking about 50-meter water resistance so you can wash your hands without taking it off. I'm talking about a real certification. The Fugu carries ISO 6425 certification, the international standard for professional diving. That means it has passed real pressure tests, legibility in darkness tests, shock resistance tests, and condensation tests. Most luxury watches sold as divers, some of them priced above 5,000 euros, do not have this certification. The words water resistant on their dials don't mean the same thing. What the big brands don't tell you is that there is an enormous difference between water resistant and certified for diving. The Fugu is in the second category. Many 8,000 euros watches are firmly in the first. Citizen's automatic NY0040 caliber is robust, well-proven, and requires no extraordinary servicing. 40-hour power reserve, 200-meter water resistance, sapphire crystal, unidirectional steel bezel. Instead of spending 8,000 euros on an Oris Aquis that gives you a similar certification, the Fugu gives you the same for 350 euros, backed by Citizen's manufacturer warranty, one of the largest and most technically serious watch companies in the world. When you submerge the Fugu to 200 meters, it works. When you submerge a Swiss boutique's marketing to 200 meters, it drowns. Position 4. Laco Fleeger, a brand most of the general public has never heard of, founded in Pforzheim, Germany in 1925. And that's the first fact that changes the conversation. Laco manufactured aviation watches for the Luftwaffe during World War II. B-Uhr type watches the most demanding aerial navigation instruments of their era. Current price on Amazon, between 350 euros and 450 euros. When brands like Bell and Ross or IWC sell you a military-inspired pilot's watch for 3,000 euros or 6,000 euros, they are selling you an aesthetic, a visual reference to a history that doesn't belong to them. But what those brands don't tell you because it suits them for you not to know is that Laco is one of the few manufacturers in the world with documented, genuine military aviation history, not inspired by, real. Their current Fleeger models maintain the original B-Uhr design, black dial with large Arabic numerals, a minute hand that points to the primary markers, maximum legibility under any condition. Instead of spending 3,500 euros on a Bell & Ross BR, one that reproduces the aesthetic of a flight instrument it never actually built, the Laco Fleeger gives you authentic history, supervised German manufacturing, an ETA or Salida automatic movement, depending on the reference, sapphire crystal, and a 316L steel case for under 450 euros, 8 times cheaper, with more real history. Some brands buy themselves an aesthetic. Laco has the original. You decide which one is worth more on your wrist. Position 3, Phoibos Eagle Ray. And here comes a name many of you have never come across. Phoibos, a Hong Kong microbrand. The model, Eagle Ray. Price, between €180 and €220 on Amazon. And if you're thinking right now, I don't trust a brand I've never heard of, stay with me. Because that is exactly the bias the big brands have cultivated for decades to stop you from looking elsewhere. Microbrands are the most interesting phenomenon in watchmaking over the last 10 years. No boutiques, no brand ambassadors, no television campaigns, just product. The Eagle Ray runs a Seiko NH35A automatic movement, the same caliber used by brands with a much bigger name and double the price. Sapphire crystal with anti-reflective treatment on both sides, high-density lume on indices and hands, 316L steel case, and 200-meter water resistance. But what most people don't know when they buy a recognized brand watch for €500 is that the movement inside can be exactly the same as the one in this €200 Phoibos. Brands like Tissot or Certina sell watches with the NH35A or an equivalent ETA for over €400 or €500. The Eagle Ray gives you the same heart, better lume reviewed on specialist forums like Watch You Seek, and comparable case finishing for less than half the price. The extra cost of the known brand pays the shopfront, not the watch. Phoibos is proof that when you remove marketing from the equation, what's left is pure watch. Position 2, Seiko Presage. And we return to familiar ground. Seiko Presage. Seiko's dress watch line, aimed at formal elegance. Price on Amazon, between €300 and €450, depending on the reference. Seiko is not an unknown brand, but what is unknown to most people is what's inside each presage. The presage runs the 4R35 or 6R15 caliber, depending on the model. In-house movements. Not bought from ETA, not from Salita. Made by Seiko, in Seiko's factories, with Seiko components. That is something many Swiss brands charging between €1,000 and €3,000 cannot say they sell watches with movements bought from third parties, to which they add a branded engraving and a proprietary case. Seiko, with the Presage, builds the entire movement. The dial, in many references, is enameled or worked in urushi technique, a traditional Japanese lacquer applied by hand in multiple layers. None of that appears in the catalog of a Swiss boutique at an equivalent price. Instead of spending €1,200 on a Longines master collection with a bought-in ETA movement, the Seiko Presage SSA 343 gives you an in-house movement, a sunburst textured dial worked with references to Japanese cocktail culture, sapphire crystal, and a dress design that holds its own visually against watches, costing 3 times as much, at €350. The price gap is paid by you. The watch doesn't feel the difference. The Presage is proof that in-house manufacturing and genuine beauty don't need a Swiss surname to exist. Position 1. Orient Kamasu. And we arrive at number 1. The watch that, in terms of value for money, is probably the most powerful argument on the automatic market under €500 today. And the one that makes mid-range Swiss brands the most uncomfortable. The Orient Kamasu, a dive watch from Orient, a subsidiary of Seiko Epson. Price on Amazon, between €170 and €220. Read that carefully. €170. Automatic. And now come the specifications that are going to make a lot of people close the tab where they had a Hamilton or Tissot cart sitting open. Sapphire crystal. Not mineral, not hardlex. Sapphire, the same material Rolex, Omega, and Tudor use on their dials. In-house automatic movement, the F6922 caliber, developed and produced by Orient. No dependence on ETA or any external supplier. 200-meter water resistance with a double-threaded crown. Unidirectional steel bezel with aluminium insert. Lume on hands and indices. 316L steel case, 41.8 millimeters. All of this for €170. But what Swiss brands at 600 euros, 800 euros, or 1,000 euros don't want you to see is the direct comparison. The Orient Kamasu has sapphire crystal, where many of its more expensive competitors fit mineral glass. It has an in-house movement where many of those rivals fit a bought-in ETA. And it costs 1/5 of the price. In every objective technical category, the Orient wins or draws. The 480 euros price difference pays for the Hamilton name, Swatch Group's marketing, and the display case in the shop, not the watch. The Orient Kamasu is the correct answer to the wrong question of how much you need to spend to own a serious watch. The correct answer is 170 euros. 5 automatic watches, all under 500 euros, all available on Amazon right now, all with specifications that embarrass brands charging 3, 5, or 10 times as much. The Citizen Fugu, for anyone who wants a real ISO certification. The Laco Fleeger, for anyone who wants authentic aviation history. The Phoibos Eagle Ray, for anyone who wants maximum specification without paying for branding. The Seiko Presage for anyone who wants elegance and in-house manufacturing, and the Orient Kamasu for anyone who wants the hardest argument to counter in affordable watchmaking. Does this mean luxury watches have no value? No. It means their value isn't always where they tell you it is. Some brands sell you engineering. Some brands sell you a logo. Knowing how to tell them apart is what turns a watch buyer into a collector. If this video has saved you money or opened a door you didn't know existed, the like belongs to both of us equally. Tell me in the comments, which of these 5 would you pick? Next week, 5 watches under 200 euros that have no real rival. See you then.